Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call the July 18th Economic Development Committee.
18.
Shaking his up tonight.
21.
Closer to the door.
July 21.
Oh, tell it.
You're right. It didn't sound right, but I read what was in front of me.
It's in black and white.
That's right. Yeah, first up is Cornell.
Becky, come on up.
I'm pinch hitting for Lisa. Unfortunately, couldn't make it. She had a funeral to attend today. So for those that do not know me, I'm Becky Palmetier. I'm the Deputy Director for Cornell Cooperative Extension. I'm also going to apologize because after the presentation, I am going to run out because we have a livestock committee meeting tonight and it's getting way too close to the fair. So I need to be at that. So just kind of a rundown of kind of what has happened since the last time Lisa presented. You will see that summer is a very busy time of year for extension. In terms of agriculture, we had the Ag Expo on Friday, July 11th. I believe there was like 75 plus people in attendance for that. So it was very well attended. And all the partners seem very pleased with it. And it's one of those things that we plan to now carry year to year. So then there was a Silver Pasture Field Day at Gonfort Farms on July 10th. Also held a poultry workshop on small flock management on June 6th. And our ag educator, if you haven't met her yet, Ashley, she's wonderful, also conducted 10 visits in Columbia County between June and July. Then with our Think Differently funding, we held a craft night on July 15th. So it was just neurodivergent youth, their siblings, friends, kind of whoever wanted to come. They did spin art, glitter jars, fidget spinners. It was just a really nice time. And as you can see, a couple of girls agreed to a picture that attended. And we are working right now on preparations for the Think Differently space at the Columbia County Fair. So we're going to have some new items there this year. So we're very excited going into that. Next is 4-H. We are definitely in fair preparations. The committees are all meeting. We are starting to actually do things like barn cleanouts coming up and just all the fun that happens. And there's our one of our bunnies. We actually do this year help creative maker spaces. So these are just opportunities for the enrolled 4-H youth to come and make what we call still projects on animal projects that they could enter into the fair. So giving anybody an opportunity, we supplied everything. So if they couldn't afford some of the craft items, they could come to this and have some things to put in. Then we had a goat clinic and a rabbit clinic. The rabbit clinic, I believe, was the one was actually on July 8th. I think they were switched on the screen. And another one on the goats were on July 16th. And then what did not make the slide is that just this past Saturday, we had a poultry clinic. And those are all showmanship clinics to kind of teach the kids how to show these animals so that, again, they're all on kind of like an equal playing field, because some of them are actually borrowing the animals, so they don't get to work with them quite as much as some of the other kids.
So in the event your telephones, we have an escaped pig in Canaan. He's 250 pounds, a hefty and healthy specimen. And if someone calls you saying there's a pig in my garden,
Okay, we'll go.
Or somebody's having a nice.
We'll send people with some paperwork over and maybe try to like.
Not the right way.
I think that's.
That's a pretty,
Pretty escape.
Depending on the genetics and everything that's
Oh,
Then with consumer and family sciences, we've been doing our cooking classes with our ARPA funds. We actually held 3 during this time frame. We had 2 that were held for the Head Start families, and then 1 that was actually held at the Spark of Putnam and donated their space. And then fall is going to be the big push because summer's a little busy in other areas. Then I didn't make the slide. Between our 2 parenting programs that are functioning in Columbia County, we have been seeing 70 families.
yeah.
And that we just finished 15 families up with anger management. So those programs are doing quite well. Then community horticulture. As you can see, lots of different program areas. We held Seed to Supper May through June. So that was a program. It was free of cost. People could come and learn how to grow. And actually, one of the cooking classes was kind of the end to that, where we taught how to like cook some of the produce that was given and grown. That was held at the Spark of Hudson. We have vegetable trials in our garden at the Hudson office. If anybody gets a chance and wants to stop by, they're just kind of tracking how well certain things grow in certain conditions. They have the Master Gardener volunteers themselves are actually out doing these speaker bureaus at different farmers markets and libraries. So you'll actually see them out and about in the community a lot, holding different events. Almost too many to do, I think, on the slide. And then the Master Gardener Q&A, Weed, Bugs, and Blights was held on the 17th. And as always, our Master Gardener volunteers are fielding a lot of questions and phone calls that come into the office, as well as some folks that walk in, and they're also in fair prep, because if you haven't seen our building, they do a very nice, robust display and are always available during not always, but they're there for most of the time at the fair to answer questions general people have. The last thing I was asked to just mention, because it's one of those things that I don't think we get to mention very often, but it's one of our grant works, and that's Lindsay's here as well. If there's any questions about that, is we've been doing, and Kinderhook was recently a recipient of this, and this year we're working with Catskill to put together flood guides. So those are actually, in the end, they end with a tangible guide that can be given out to residents that are actually waterproof, and they have things like the flood maps, the FEMA flood maps on it, showing where vulnerable locations are, evacuation routes, if we can find them. And look at Lindsay, she can correct me on some of this. Shelters, basically all the information somebody would need in an event of a flooding. They're told to leave. They have all the information at their disposal. It also usually includes some preparation information, like what you should have in like a to-go bag. We know that some residents get them directly handed to them because they're in those flood-prone areas. So it's just one of those things we wanted to spotlight and highlight, letting the other communities in the area know that this is some of the work we can do. If there's interest in either partnering on a grant or contracting with us to do something for one of your communities, we just wanted you guys to be aware that right now, I know everybody's thinking about floods, unfortunately, and it's one of those things that we can help with. Yeah. Any questions about those? Anything I ran over?
Nice to see you again. Thanks for
Thank you for having me. And like I said, I'm going to apologize that this goes right out so I can go to my, doesn't look like it. I run all the animal shows at the Columbia County Fair. So this is also one of my very busy times. So
Thank you.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Glad to hear. Yeah. CDC.
We promised not to take up the added time that you left on the thing.
Thomas is part.
Promise. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, you know what Mayor Johnson said recently, he said, don't, if Mike asks you, if you have a minute, don't, plan for a little longer.
This is just a report.
Yeah,
she
fun to
sent you
pass
around.
it, yeah. Copy.
Do that one.
That's already.
So, the whole file there.
Stop it. That didn't go, but I'll stop.
Yeah. Well, thank you and good afternoon. We have a brief agenda. I think I mentioned our strategic plan update and actually got a copy along with our annual report at the last meeting. We were very fortunate in receiving a $295,000 grant from the SBA to run our small business loan program in concert with the county's CDBG funded loan program. We were very concerned initially whether those funds would be withheld, reduced, or eliminated. We also were fortunate in that the SBA approved in concert with that award, and that award is up from 262 last year, so it's a $23,000 increase. $1 million of SBA money for us to create a tranche 10 to be able to draw that money down and $250,000 a pop to then convert into loans to businesses. So, with the changes that the SBA has made to a number of their other programs, we were very pleased to see that that micro enterprise grant program is still in place and still functioning. We also just completed round 2 of the Office of Community Renewal's micro enterprise grant program. You may recall the supervisors approved 2 years ago an application for the county to submit for $300,000 for a small business grant program. Under that grant program, small businesses who have been in business less than 2 years and have less than 5 employees or less, including the owner, can apply for up to $25,000 grant. The county was awarded that first round, and last summer we had you have to go through a 4-week education program, which we conducted, and we gave out all of the money because we were oversubscribed, and rather than take the fee that we were entitled to under the grant program, it was hard to say to one of the 15 people in the group that you're not getting the money when there was really no differentiation to defend that choice. This year we were more select and not oversubscribing. You did apply. The state changed the rules where you didn't have to reapply, but they would extend the contract. We did submit a request to extend it. We did get another $300,000, and now we're in the process of distributing that. I'll have a report for you where, by business and by town as to where those funds are going. One of the things that's been good is that some of the small businesses have figured out that if they at the same time get a $25,000 grant, they get a $25,000 or $50,000 small business loan from CEDC. The loan is at 7.75%, but they basically can walk out with double or more. So they get to leverage the money for cash investment and cash flow.
You're gonna give us a report of who got it.
From them both, we'll put the two of them together
Okay.
so you can see. And I think we just did a report for our board that shows, of the loans we've done in the last year, what town they're in, and we have been working to, if we have a town that doesn't have any loans, try to go find a business that's interested. But one of the things we're also working on is a pilot in Germantown. We had to do this in connection with the role we're playing for the Kinderhook Village equivalent of the DRI, Downtown Reinvestment Initiative. I think it's called New York Forward.
Yep.
We're managing a $300,000 grant program that is in place for businesses that had applied for money through that program that weren't awarded money. And we do get a fee for running that program. And we just got a request from the Village of Philmont. They submitted an application for that program, and they wanted a letter of support, which we provided. And I suggested that they include a similar program in their DRI. And basically, it would allow businesses, who for whatever reason didn't get selected. And it's been difficult in these smaller communities where the 2.5 million is awarded, because why this business and not that business? And so this provides an opportunity to reduce the amount you get, but spread it further. We have been doing we've done 12 letters of support for the this year's annual state regional council grant award programs. They range from small businesses to not-for-profits, arts and cultural organizations, and some municipal comprehensive planning studies and other activities like that. The deadline is July 31st. So we have been busy. The county IDA has a number of projects that seem to be returning to us. We on the city IDA, which, as you know, we manage. Last week or 2 weeks ago, K&R, a company out of New York City, closed on Providence Hall on Skylar Court. Combined, there are 151 Section 8 units in the city of Hudson. There were changes both within the state as to eligible funding that they had sought and were now no longer eligible. The state changed the rule that you couldn't use the tax credits for rehab. You could only use them for new build. And then HUD changed some regulations that made it difficult because they changed the regulation but didn't promulgate the rules. And the financial underwriters wouldn't commit to the loan necessary to close on the project until that was done. During that time, the owner the option was expiring, and he had several businesses were looking to come in and buy those apartments and convert them to market rate. So, we felt very good about the work we did working with the state, with the developer and with the city on ensuring that this finally got done. They have a $26 million loan. I think they paid $8 million for the project, and the balance is going to be invested in the units. Every unit will be rehabbed in place. We have had we did, during the course of the due diligence, the IDA did speak with the mayors of Herkimer, the Nathan Galinsky apartments that they purchased and did this same model, and with Mayor, the Mayor of Kingston, Steve Noble, for the Yasmin Tower project, and in both cases, they were got good reference.
And how long does that lock in the Section 8 contract?
30 years.
30 years.
And the IDA gave them a 30-year pilot at 7% of shelter rents. And shelter rents are the rent minus the utilities. So lots going on, and at the same time, we're trying to focus on how to actually get projects online, rather than, the task force has done a great job. Chris has done a phenomenal job. Here he comes. He almost missed the game. Yeah, Chris has done a wonderful job. You may have seen an email from Supervisor Collins thanking him and congratulating him on the quality of a presentation he made a week or two ago in Chatham. I know several of you chimed in after Supervisor Collins circulated that. And I don't really have anything else to report on CEDC. If there are any questions, I'll go on to broadband. I guess the first thing on broadband, I'd like to circulate the fact sheet, I guess. I visited the Columbia Forward website, and as you know, Columbia Forward had a website already. It was the website for the.
Thank you.
Oh, this.
Okay.
I've got plenty. There are two Columbia Forward websites now. The first one was one that CEDC and the chamber put together in support of the project that the county board of supervisors funded during COVID. But this is the group that is for a full-time county executive. I felt important to take umbrage on some of the material in here criticizing CEDC's work with respect to broadband. Robert Honeywell, who I have met with, along with Carl Atkins, for the last 2.5 years on a monthly basis, we're fully engaged in all the discussions that CEDC was involved with. And he puts a quote in here He's a full-time county executive is critical for economic development and to tackle countywide issues like broadband. Honeywell, a Claverick resident said. Since 2021, when major federal and state broadband funding started, the board's broadband committee has met just once, and it's left it to others to pursue a once-in-a-generation funding. Other counties are racing ahead with innovative public-private projects and securing tens of millions of dollars on state grants. Columbia County risks being left behind. Later in the website, it says that, again, several counties in New York State received millions from one grant program for expanding access to broadband, including Sullivan and Schoharie counties. After receiving approximately $30,000, Columbia County was eligible but did not apply. As you know, when the county in 2015 first undertook its broadband study, ECC Technologies reported that there were 3,000 unserved addresses and 10,000 underserved addresses. That's 13,000 addresses out of 28,000 addresses in the county. At the time that this municipal infrastructure program was announced, we had dropped that list to where the state and the county agreed that we had less than 750 addresses that were remained unserved. And that included the addresses in Canaan and in Lebanon.
We're already kind of under contract for.
Right. And I can report on that in a moment. So, at the time I had lengthy discussions with the state. I spoke to the mayors of the village of Sherburne, the town of Norton, the county administrator in Schoharie and in Sullivan, and to determine, what were we missing an opportunity here or not. And based on what they described to me in each of those situations, we might have been eligible to apply, but we would not have been eligible to receive funding. In the village of Sherburne, they got $10 million to serve 750 homes in a village. So imagine, take Alicia, Kinderhook, Philmont, or Chatham, whichever you want, and it was a very condensed area. And one of the reasons they applied was the village already ran a water and sewer districts. And so they were losing money on those, and they were trying to see if they were selling broadband, could this municipal corporate entity make money? The other reason that in Sullivan County, it was primarily they were bringing fiber on Sullivan County communication towers so that there could be on each tower a place where the residents could pick up wireless. And again, it was not, the type of program that we were looking to develop here. And finally, I think in conversations with supervisors, there really was not an appetite it would have been a $60 million grant application based on, if you looked at the
Need at the time.
the geography, but also these addresses in Sullivan County, there were $7,500 an address. And we were not in a position with 4 existing providers to set up, the Columbia County Broadband Local Development Corporation to set up, who's going to buy the trucks, who's going to go out at night. And now in Sullivan County, they contracted with Archtop, but which is Germantown Telephone
Today,
today.
but it wasn't then.
But it wouldn't have been, and so it was a totally different circumstance. I mean, it's a great opportunity to take a shot at me. Back in 2000, March of 2004, Carl Atkins, who along with Robert Honeywell are the 2 that I had calls with because they said we weren't giving them enough information. I set it up every month and had our consultant on the call. they said that I had failed in my responsibilities to the county in serving broadband. So, I think it's just important to note that, it's a great thing to pull out of the hat and make an issue out of, but I stand by, and I believe Josh Breibert, the head of broadband for the state, will say that he felt Columbia County has been the poster child of how to do it. I always soften it with him by saying, don't tell the others that, because if you had 281,000 addresses, you couldn't have approached it the way we did. And I think the final proof in the pudding is when the state came out most recently, they had a list of addresses that no providers had requested in each of the counties. And, this big long list, there are only 3 addresses in the county where 1 or more providers haven't indicated in their response to the state that they're interested in serving. Will we have to use wireless some places? Probably. But the situation now is that they by September 4th, the state has to release a new criteria to all service providers. And, then within some period of time in that RFP, the service providers get to bid one last time on whatever remaining addresses there are.
So I don't, because Carl, in full transparency, Carl Atkins is from Canaan, so I'm familiar with him.
Yeah.
But what distresses me about this is that I do think that first of all, I think that we have known for the last 2-3 years that we're well ahead of the curve in terms of managing this problem over other counties. And I think that both Carl and Robert have known this. And the fact that they chose to state this in this way, make this argument, is distressing to me. And because this is willful, wrong information. So I know you're not asking anybody to do anything, but I'm going to reach out to them and ask them that be retracted because it is incorrect information. And I know that they're aware because I've been on some of those calls.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, it's fine. But I had been asked to meet with a group to get my opinion on what form of government the county should have. And I said, whatever form of government the Board of Supervisors and the people of the county decide to have, I'm pretty good with it. So we want to, continue to provide services to the county.
But we did test the CEDC. We're trying to challenge this broadband issue, and I think we've done pretty well. So thank you for your.
Oh, well. The good news is
I know it doesn't please everybody instantly, but
well, I've always said that we've done a great job unless you're one of the 750.
that's right.
people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but some of the 750 don't want it.
Yeah.
Well,
And the rule is, does it go by your house? There are more than 750 people that.
Well, in the last 4 or 5 people that I've spoken to in my town had it, but they just didn't buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was available to them, but they hadn't chosen.
there is that out there.
But I do think that because of the fact that you took the initiative and we did this physical inventory, and then we were able to reconcile all of the various state and federal lists, we got out in front of it. And I think that.
And I
we
have heard the
recognized.
state people say that, saying, ask
Well, and I think
state seminars,
but see, we're very unique because we have 4 providers.
Yep.
And every time we updated that list, we sent it to them first. And then they looked at who's getting closer to
we
their,
kept them involved, but they
who's
had their
getting
own
closer,
competitive,
who's getting closer to
challenges.
their footprint.
Right.
And then they go out and they would build it out. And, again, I don't know that a county this size had the capacity to set up, they had to own it. You had to own it for 30 years.
Yeah, I never wanted to be in the business of doing it.
But the good news is, we had a call from the state last week, or with the state last week, in partnership with some of our work with Adam Bosch from Pattern for Progress on wireless, or not wireless, cell service.
60, 4G, 5G, whatever.
And they said, well, we'd like your ideas. We'd like to do a study and they're including us because they wanted to pick a few counties that weren't in the footprint of the Adirondack and Catskill footprint that was in the Como study, just to see if those those, service in the restricted parks was different than the average county. So they picked 3 counties. And interestingly enough, I had already asked our consultant to put together a proposal. And, we can't do his proposal without state funding, but we were able to send it to this woman who, and the proposal that we've had him put together is to go in each town and with input from supervisors and in consultation with the providers, identify 12 sites to test. And, the state's interested in seeing that we're near libraries and what do they call them? Unique, some kind of unique, there's a special name that we had for them. And so, it was going to be $60,000. It was going to be a 7-month study. And, we do have a $120,000 grant for digital equity that we can't really figure out how to move forward with until we know how many addresses are left. And my thought is at one point, if we could ask them, well, could we do this pilot with that money? So as a compromise, they said, well, this is what we want to do. I said, well, here we are again. We like to be your pilot. So I asked him just to keep the discussion going. And he's looking at the FCC maps, which show where the towers are and where the service is anyway. Pick 6 locations in each town. I don't have time to show them to you and validate them right now because she wants information back. But her inquiry is so far, is so first step that I just want to get something back to her and get her in a thought process that might enable them to consider our project as a pilot and fund it.
Does it help any, Mike? Recently, and Tim probably got the same thing, but we've just approved a new Verizon tower in Stuyvesant, and they've been looking at Kinderhook, Stockport, I think, Austerlitz. But they provided the planning board with quite a bit of detailed information and maps about
I'll work with.
area coverage, glad to share that with you if that helps.
Let me talk to our consultant.
I actually have a conference call tomorrow morning with Senator Henchy's office on broadband on the Parkway. Or not broadband, wireless service on the Parkway.
Great. Let us know how that goes.
I can give you the information if you're available. You can join.
Okay. Tomorrow I do have a call on with Commissioner Gibson, Joan Hunt, Deb Lands, and myself, and the woman who runs the board of directors chair of the not-for-profit daycare in Greenport. And, they're interested in seeing if they can hire the Chris Brown of childcare to be kind of a 2-year person that would be a point person to, ride herd on how to generate more broadband, how to get people trained, how to get grants for them if they are interested in working on it, how to see if you could bring in a large-scale provider. We've been working with the Taconic Hills School District. They're, I believe, moving forward with their plan
They are.
to, and it was a significant step because it was like $200,000 or $300,000 to convert the empty school rooms into private bathrooms for this age and bathrooms for that age. All of the regulatory things that come with a daycare of more than 8 people, or 8 kids. And, what is killing the heart out of daycare is the early childhood education program, because the infants cost so much to take care of that in the previous years, they dollar cost averaged with what they were charging parents for the, pre-K kids. So they found a program in Poughkeepsie where the center rotates their staff on a regular basis, because what they do is they use it as a training program. It's almost like a school for student teachers, and they roll them out. And I don't know how you stay 8 months or 6 months or a year, but when you go to that program to work, you're there to learn how to be a daycare provider on an independent
Is there
basis.
certification or anything?
Yeah. The community college does have a program as well. So, we've got broadband, we're talking about, wireless, we're talking about daycare. Chris, of course, is continuing with housing. And we are looking, at, there are several regional state grants that, the region is in competition for. One is called On-Ramp. It's a program, that will probably be based either at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute or UAlbany, but, how do we, find a role for the community college here, or the K through 12, or Questar system here? We're also, so we're trying to find out if the region gets these grants, what's our role, and how do we get a share of the funds to, ensure that Columbia County residents and students and businesses are included.
Just want to go back to you guys for a second. Do you have existing Verizon towers or are these new towers?
These are new proposed towers. And
Ours is approved and everything.
yeah, ours is too, but they
No,
haven't
no,
done
but
any construction
We
yet.
have 2 Verizon towers in town, and I was just wondering if you were adding to your inventory of towers?
No, we had nothing.
Okay, so you're putting new, are yours new towers?
We're gonna have a brand new one in Malaysia.
Right, okay. Is yours new also?
No, we have an existing, but, like tomorrow's call with Hinchy is more of trying to get
Okay.
state funding to put more towers along the parkway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Because there's a lot of dead corridors.
Right.
I mean, that's where we can use Verizon in a few places in town, but there's an awful lot of dead, and that, we actually named it in our emergency management plan, what the county's plan, because, at our town hall, at the firehouse, at those locations almost have nothing, so.
community anchor institutions are what those are called.
Okay, there you go.
That was the,
Community anchor.
that was the.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot going on, and, we're having fun doing
So
it.
to your point, if they did these, I don't know what it would do, but they're saying it would be great, but
We had one
I
approved
understand that.
months ago already. in
Yeah.
Malaysia. On town property.
I think they're struggling with the one in Austerlitz, though, and Fetcher
No, I just know there've been so many consumer complaints about the dead zones.
Yeah.
This is why they're probably.
I know, they're trying to do
What
something,
did you
but
call them? Community?
Anchor institution.
Okay.
the institution.
And, the state had come up, the state came up with
Yeah.
60 of them in Columbia County, but they had missed half the firehouses and half the libraries or town hall. But, again,
All good news.
all good news. I think I'll do the solar project and then jump to Chris,
Okay,
if I could. Mr. Chairman.
We'll allow it.
We included in the packet a proposal for the RPNY Solar 5 in town of Stockport. I did speak with Chairman Morell in his role as the supervisor of the town of Stockport. And, they have presented and got approval from the planning board there. We've discussed at this meeting and other meetings, increasing the base.
Mhm.
We did increase this to 8 cents. I had further research done and determined that the statute that set this program in place requires that the developers pay the individual taxing jurisdictions directly rather than have CEDC put an amendment in here to try to do it for them. So we did put, this is the standard NYSERDA pilot. We did put in here that they're obligated on the payment of their taxes to send us a notification. So at least
so you could help track
we can
it.
try to track it. Supervisor Knott, and I had a conversation, this morning. Our intent was to propose this to the committee for recommendation to the full board. There was, the RPTL 57B, was held unconstitutional in March of this year. A decision that is now on appeal and has been stayed while the appeal is pending. So it related to the assessment and valuation of wind and solar projects. Originally, it required assessors to use a model and discount rate to value and place assessments on affected solar and wind energy systems. Municipalities will continue to have the flexibility to negotiate payments in lieu of tax. But there was a change to the model where in the formula, they are now going to have you take out a certain,
Providing them more exemptions basically.
more exemptions based in the formula.
But then they're gonna restrict the pilot agreement to whatever the highest number could be based on the assessed value. And I don't think we understand how they're gonna do the assessed
Yeah.
value.
So I think that,
You know any more on that, Richard? I know.
I think what we want to,
When I read this, I'm like, is that gonna work? Cause
we could find that this is the best, we better sign as quick as we can, or we could find that, that we're leaving money on the table. So I'm asking you to, table this for 2 months. And,
I'll make a motion to table it.
Yeah, I'll second.
and, you know, it hasn't been approved by the school board or the, town board, and we don't necessarily, the county's approval has always been contingent on those 2 signatures being on the document anyway. And, you know, I think I'll force the developer to tell us, what he thinks, and then get our attorney, Andy Howard, to review it.
All right, so there's a motion and a second to table the resolution on the pilot. All those in favor? Any opposed?
I'm happy with the new $8,000 figure, but if we're not gonna be able to hold them to that, then that's.
Well, and I think the,
You know,
the more important thing to me is, as you know, the pilot is only on the improvement. The underlying land, is still to be taxed at fair market value, but for what?
but yeah, but if they're gonna do I think they're doing the whole thing on basically an income approach.
Right.
But and, you know, a good solar developer, I think, can produce a document that says we didn't make any money at all.
Well, and the ration, and the legitimate reason for that is because you got all of your
Right, you pay
money up
somebody
front
and
in
you get-
the
yeah,
tax credit.
Right, yeah.
You know, you, if you weren't getting the tax credits, you'd have to have a
It's a
different.
slippery slope if they approve that whole thing,
Yeah.
right, you know. But
I'm sorry, I thought the agreement was that they would not assess for any property taxes in exchange for the pilot. If that,
But what the new law is gonna say is that if they were assessed, the assessor has to go through a different program to figure out how to assess them, and the
Right.
pilot could never exceed that.
okay, but here it says, the term of this agreement will not assess the owner for any real property taxes.
I know, but
The
new-
Yeah,
No, I mean, up above, it says, that the, assessment, the land is, let me go back and look at that, but that's a good catch.
and it says any,
Yeah, let me check that.
any real property taxes. Doesn't
Okay, so
separate the
that's
land.
even a better reason to table.
Right, okay. You just want to see if I was paying attention.
Yeah. I did this in the middle of the night.
Thank you.
Chris?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if you'll allow it, I'd like to use the housing task force for last. I'll come back to that one.
I don't know, that's the second.
very.
Oh, nice. Guys are really good.
You got any cups here? Where's the marble?
So just some quick hits on the subtopics there. The vacant rental improvement program, REPCO is still accepting applications for that, but I think they're going to be winding down pretty soon. I know that we do have about a half a dozen applicants in from Columbia County. There's no guarantee how many we'll get. But they were setting a certain number of applications aside for the counties that hadn't been well represented in their first half of applications.
Can you explain how that works?
What this grant is?
Yeah.
So this is for, there's no income qualification for the property owner, and this is for any property, whether it's commercial or residential, as long as it's currently vacant and turns into no more than 5 rental units.
No more.
No more than, so it's capped out at 5. And then those rental units have to be rented to people earning either 60% or 80% of the AMI. And that's dictated by the size of the grant that you get per unit. There is a little bit of update on that that ties into the state budget item there. There is a second round that was funded. The request for applications for that is currently open. The state is not allowing anyone who's currently participating in the vacant rental program to participate in this round. They also said that about the ADU program and then changed their minds when they didn't get enough applications.
Right.
So knock on wood, that happens here as well.
So, but we did have some towns that were eligible for the second round. They weren't, they didn't have, they weren't,
Not for VREP.
oh, I'm sorry, I thought we'd moved on.
Yeah, so-
Okay,
No, so VREP will be out as a county unless they change their mind. The ADU grant, there is a third round that's coming. It hasn't opened up yet. So for us, it'll be the second round, but statewide it's the third round. So in the second round, which is our first round, every community except for Valatie, Taconic, and Hudson participated. For this round that's about to open up, Taconic and Hudson will be participating. Volusia declined. So that'll be almost every single community has access to that grant program, and the 14 from the first round through the other 20 communities have all been given the green light for development. The 2025, yeah, that was great news.
Just take a
Yeah.
moment to breathe. That is such good news.
Not having to go to, we had developed a list of alternate sites, alternate applicants, and we didn't have to dive into that at all.
Okay. And can you, I know you can't release the names, but can you at least let us know roughly where?
The geographic spread?
Yeah.
So we divided the county into north and south halves. Couldn't really do it east-west. There's just too much population along the river. So we divided it into north and south, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but I know that the percentage of applications from each of those two halves matched up with the percentage of winners. So say you had, 63% from one, 37% from the other, the winners mirrored that.
Okay. That's fair. As
There was
fair
a
as we can make it.
concentration in one of the villages, but sewer and water. It makes things a lot easier to do on the application review side.
Makes it possible.
25-26 state budget. So I mentioned that they're refunding the vacant rental program, although right now that's not really relevant to the county. They funded land banks again to the full amount of 50 million. So another round of funding for land banks will be coming. So yes, we won that bet. The state will continue to fund land banks. The big piece that I'm waiting for, there's a new program called the Starter Home. It's just a Starter Home program. There's $10 million in it. It's for communities outside of New York City. Nobody knows what this is yet. There's just $10 million set aside. The program hasn't been released. So we're really waiting for that to roll out. On the Housing Task Force side, Mike mentioned that Chatham, there was a Chatham Zoom last week, last Monday night. It went pretty well. There were about 22 people on, which is a lot for just one town. The takeaway from that was sort of doubling down on something that I've heard before. We've talked about in the task force a little bit here and there. I'd like to see more coalitions like the Rojan Housing Coalition Committee. I think it's actually important for the towns and villages, the people on the housing committees, if they exist, if they're just interested volunteers, to know what's going on with the Housing Task Force, what it's doing, and not have to go to or watch a Housing Task Force meeting every other month. I can't make 23 of those meetings, but I can make 7. So if we could get more of these coalitions where you get 3 or 4 towns working together, I think that would be huge. And there were some people on that call last week that actually were already starting to make those connections. I know Taconic and I want to say it was Claremont. I think there were some conversations early there with those 2 towns starting to get together, but we could get 3 or 4 at a time. That would be great. There's just a lot of towns out there that don't realize that they're working on the same issues as the town next door. There's just a lot of work that you can avoid. There's a lot of hard-won lessons that you don't have to learn again. So I'd really like to try to advance that. And I think that might be, we are going to do a Columbia County Virtual Housing Forum again this year. We skipped last year. We did one in 23 and there was one in 22 before I got here. We'll do it this year, and I'd like that to be one of the main things, trying to form these sub-coalitions throughout the county.
Based on the towns that you've talked to, do you have any idea of what would be good fits?
I
Or
got
do you want
some.
those to originate from the ground up?
Yeah, they're mostly geographically based. But I think that there are a couple of towns that are far enough along that they're sort of, they're like the super seniors almost, right? They've advanced a little bit. So you might be able to link up one of these new forming coalitions with one of those towns. Like the Rojan committee would be perfect. That's kind of an onboarding mechanism. I think that's how it's done. Let's people have questions, or let's see what we got. Highlight something else.
No, we continue to talk to developers, and, I think, difficulty is this business, you have to have 10 people to get one project.
Mhm.
We're trying to get that down to 9.
Yeah, well, then maybe we'll get a half project, but, it's, and there's so many
If you
obstacles.
want to have 10 projects, you don't every door.
Yeah. There's so many people, there's so many, different obstacles that, people face. It's not just the zoning, not just the, and so, I do think that we just have to keep being persistent, and, we are, my board has asked me to, do some analysis, with respect to, Galvin's intent to convey to, Bard College, anywhere from 60 to 80 units housing. There's a lot of articles that's been circulating. Brenda shared one that I thought was particularly good. There was an article that, someone in my office sent me last week when I was away that, was quoting the controller or chief financial officer at Bard, indicating that, it's not their intent to take all these properties, and that if you knew of anyone interested in purchasing anything off the lot, to contact them, because they would be interested in having that discussion. They did indicate to us that, the equity interest in what we call the 708 State Street project, which is under construction and in the process of being rented.
That's the market rate house.
Well, it's, there's 12 units under 80%, and the rest have to be at 130%. So it's a regulated market. But the difficulty they're having is finding people who are credit qualified,
So it was always the problem that Habitat.
and they're not getting the volume of applications that they need. So we're putting some pressure on them through the IDA to perhaps hire a company that does startup leasing. I mean, it's one thing to have a rental office like they have, and somebody have 2 or 3 vacancies at a time, but they're not getting the volume of applications they need.
Well, both Hudson River Housing and Repco do credit prep. Could they be hired as a consultant in this case to do credit prep?
Well,
To clean people's credit, like to get medical
Yeah.
credit off that you know, and
well, I
other
think it's more that,
medical debt off.
I don't think they've had 25 applications and 75 units. And,
When
so,
are they gonna be open for rental?
I mean, open for,
Open for,
I don't know,
occupancy.
I think in the fall. But so, I do think that, I think what's happening is it's on Zillow. And so I think what happens is only people who are looking for an apartment, not people who, if I knew if something was available, I might think of moving. So they really have to ratchet up their marketing.
and the affordable housing project that was supposed to go to parallel that.
That property goes to Bard, and a
Okay.
developer could purchase that. And it's, once a new purchaser acquires it,
The other thing is wiped off.
the restriction that they can't use federal funds on it is evaporated until that company doesn't follow through on the same, on the same basis.
Is the covenant still in place to make it affordable?
Well, they'd start from scratch, and they'd have to, there's no IDA approval on that project.
Right.
So they would have to,
Find a
I don't-
similar
I don't-
situation.
Yeah, I don't think there was any process by which, other than perhaps the planning board process, but there was no other process that I'm aware of that would have put a restriction on it. With the potential political changes in Hudson, it may be that people want to wait and see what happens before policy and people are looking to go forward. We are working with the town of Greenport on the revived Redbone project behind the Napa Auto Supply Store. Interesting concept. They're looking at doing 6 to 8 buildings, 2-story buildings, rather than the 150 unit Queen Mary, as I called it, which is a 4-story, 3 football field long.
Right.
150 units. There was
Well, have we ever had a Redburn project here?
we had the hotel.
Okay,
And
but
then
not a house.
they were going to do it, but then it got caught up in assessment issues.
Okay.
And then COVID. And then finally, J.L. Edwards School, obviously that can't be transferred to a developer, even though there's a contract with Penrose, with the school board, until the voters vote to approve that transaction. They did ask CEDC if we would submit an application on their behalf for a state
Housing infrastructure funds.
infrastructure grant. It's a limited grant for certain aspects of the project. It's up to 5 million or 10.
You can get 10.
Can get 10. But I don't think they'd have 10 it's gotta be 50% match, so they wouldn't have $20 million in infrastructure there. But, I suggested they go to the city, and since the city has taken on the,
They have to change the zoning of it, right? to do
yeah,
that.
city have to change the zoning, and the city has already, designated themselves as lead agency.
Right.
So I said, you know, there, and the issue was that there are only
John Allen.
there are only three eligible applicants, a municipality, an IDA, or a local development corporation.
Okay.
And so the city council workshop meeting last week, I understand, discussed authorizing the mayor to submit this application on Penrose's behalf. They would contract, as they have in the past, on these types of pass-through grants with CEDC to manage the administrative.
Do you think they have an appetite for that at city council or?
Well, I think they do. I just don't know why they were,
I don't know if
I think
they're
Penrose thought
supporting
it'd be easier to go through us because, we don't have as many, with 7 people to vote instead of,
Right.
but I wasn't gonna get in the middle of that.
No,
Are they gonna have a special election or is it gonna be on the ballot in November?
Well, the ballot, the school board vote was in May,
yeah,
Right, so they have,
so they're gonna have to have a special election.
but they would have to have cooperation from the city before they put it on their ballot. So, like, why
I don't think you
they
can
go
put it
first?
on a city ballot. I think they have to-
No, I mean, the school would, before, would the school
You
do
wouldn't do it
it?
without the zoning change.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, one of the whole hangups on that whole deal, and I haven't looked at this lately, was that, I think it's a $2.5 million purchase price, like maybe 2.2.
Yeah.
But, 2 years ago, the district owed $4+ million on the bond. So, I have to go back and look, has the bond been paid down to a level that the taxpayer would be willing to walk away for $1, or are they gonna have a deficit and have to make up the?
No, I think I thought that was down to $3 million when we were looking at it.
Yeah.
and that was. a number of
So it
years
should
ago.
be down
So it
below
could be
2.
to something,
yeah.
Yeah, well, we can look that up pretty quick.
Did the school board leadership change?
They had their meeting next week, the 9th, or no, when is this, there was a school board meeting where they only voted on
Their
their,
organizational meeting.
that
That might be this week.
might be this week.
No, that would have been last week. That should have been last week.
Yeah, we can check. All right, 5:59.
Well done.
Nice
40
little-
seconds.
nice
to spare.
little- Nicely done.
It took me 10 years to get to the point where I can do that.
Right. Well,
So you want to adjourn first? I'm sorry.
Any supervisors have anything to bring before the committee? Any questions from the public?
Motion
Okay, motion to
to
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?